Hello, my name is Alex, and I'm the developer of the Barren NFT game. So let's see a gameplay and understand the current meta of the game. But first, let's pause here for a second. Let me explain you how the Barren game works. Barren is a strategy game that takes place on a board. Your goal is to deploy your units that will start moving on the green line, and you should defeat the enemy by attacking their gates, that is the red square. The first player that drops to zero loses the battle. You will be deploying your units by clicking and dragging their cards to the corresponding column that you want to deploy them. And after deployed, the units will move automatically one square at a time. And whenever they face an enemy, they will automatically battle. You can deploy 3 units per round, and you also have 3 blocks per round and 15 per match. Let me explain you what is a block. Whenever you block a unit, this unit will not move this round. It will gain 1 shield and will also have the attack priority. The attack priority means that if it kills the enemy units before the enemy units attack, it will not receive their damage. If the unit is not blocking, all the combat happens simultaneously, so each unit will be damaged in the combat. Remember, blocks are essential in winning any match, so you want to choose them wisely and select the best skirmish with the most powerful units to win. Without any further ado, let's jump into the battle, and let me explain you what's the current meta and the current strategy. The combo of Scorpion Tank and Guardian is really powerful, and it wins almost every single battle because the Scorpion Tank has an amazing range, and the Guardian can provide a passive shield for the Scorpion Tank, giving it 1 shield for each round until it gets broken. So this strategy is really powerful, and try to deploy it as soon as possible. You want to deploy your units, their most powerful units, as soon as possible because they have to cross the whole board. So the earlier that you can arrive into the enemy gates, the more damage you can do. And there's a lot of battles that are decided by 1 or 2 units that in front of the other and starts to damaging the enemy gates before the ally units arrive. With that being said, you want to spread your units to cover as much area as possible and try to focus on the attack patterns that can impact a lot the decision where you deploy your units. The current strategy that I'm using, I try to deploy all of them in a chunk, covering a large part of the board, and with the remaining swordsman and grenadier, I try to form a heavy block that will at least delay the enemy units so they have to battle and damage each one of my units, and this can save me precious rounds and can make me win the game. The first 9 rounds is the first half of the battle. You're gonna be mostly deploy your units because there's not enough time for the first unit to start the battle. After the round 9, then the units will start to clash, and then you wanted to pay special attention on your blocks. You wanted to see which skirmish should be advantage to you and which one you can win just by blocking. And if your enemy also blocks, usually the blocks nullify each other because each of units will gonna receiving 1 shield and they're gonna be attacking first. So both of them are gonna be damaging the other shield and none of them gonna win. So you wanted to shield when your enemy will not be shielding. Then you can win some battles and free some lanes that will allow you to damage the enemy gate. Sometimes you wanted to use your block to prevent your units from moving. This can make sure that you hit enemy units that are gonna be moving in range, or just so you don't move in the range of enemy unit. So this can also be useful, although A non-moving unit is a unit that's gonna take longer to arrive into the enemy gate, so you don't want to stall your whole front line. And you want to also be aware of the remaining shields that you have. Sometimes saving one shield for the last round can make you win the game, but you should mostly keep your strongest unit alive, especially those ones that are furthest into the board. And I'm giving a special love to the combo of Scorpion Tank and Guardian. If you manage to keep them alive for long enough, they will be able to obliterate uh, a line of defense of the enemies. Also pay special attention to the Guardians, because they are the only units that can attack other lanes. They can do some really amazing twists, turning some lanes that you're sure that you are about to win into losing lanes, and opening some other lanes as some corridor that you can attack straight into the enemy gates. Unfortunately, because they attack only other lanes, they're pretty vulnerable into a direct attack. So that's why you wanna keep them behind some really strong units. Because currently we are in the open beta and everyone have exactly the same power, all the battles get decided purely on the strategy. The player who are able to deploy the best formation with uh, utilizing better the attack patterns of each unit, and the player that can utilize better their blocks will be able to get out victorious of each battle. After one point, the block starts to become a mind game. If you're able to have one or two blocks in advantage of your enemy, you're sure gonna be able to win the battle, because late game blocks are extremely powerful. Unfortunately, when you put a lot of units one behind of each other, you form a really strong line of defense, but they are really weak in attack wise, because only the first unit, maybe the second, if you had enough range, you'll be able to attack the gate. All the other units will be rendered useless because they're not be able to attack anything, because nothing, only allies are in their range. So by having a more spread units, sometimes you can get a better attack opportunity than concentrating all the units in a single lane. Although, as I said, by concentrating units in a single lane, you form a pretty strong line of defense, because the enemy has to battle and fight one after other, and this delays the arrival at my gate, what give me precious rounds so my units can start attacking their gate, putting me into the leadership of the game. By now, I already know that I'm gonna win. I have 4 lanes that will be damaging, and I'm starts to attacking earlier than him. You can see that this game ended up being a pretty tight one, and I only was able to win because my units was able to arrive into the enemy gate first. When the enemy health dropped to 0, we finally can see the marvelous victory screens. Congratulations. Thanks so much for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next commented gameplay.